This video has been chosen by my amazing coffee members and now patrons. So if you'd like to have your say in the videos that I do, check out Coffee and Patreon. Now let's get started. Hello witches, and welcome back to Activist Witch, where we discuss witchcraft and activism. You can call me Isha, my pronouns are she, they. And in today's video, we're going to talk about how to keep a steady witchcraft practice, because it is something that I hear around a lot, and people have this perception that if they don't do something witchy every day, they are not witches, which is not true, first of all. But these are sort of a few ideas that I'm sharing with you, because these are the ways that I manage to sort of keep on top of my practice. So let's get into that. First things first, I think it's very, very important to underline again, once again, that it doesn't take to do something witchy every day to be a witch. Life happens. You have to survive in late-stage capitalism. It's completely fine and fair. I don't necessarily have a daily practice because I need a daily practice. It's probably more like because I'm autistic and I like my routines, and because witchcraft sneaked its way into my daily routines, now I want to do it every day because it's part of my routine. Witchcraft, autism and OCD apparently sort of go hand in hand if you have those things. But that's one of the things, like, to me, there are things that I do and that are part now of my daily practice that are witchy, that I need to do to start the day or to end the day, which then we can talk about mental health, but this is another video. But this is to say, I have integrated it, so to speak, in what I do every day. So it is something that can be done. On the other hand, if you expect yourself to be a witch just if you do a spell a day, let me dispel that idea right away, just because, in my experience, I have observed this when I have something that I want to cast a spell about, and I want to put energy in that. In my opinion, you do spells few and far between. Why? Because A, you spend energy in what matters to you, and B, that energy is limited, it's yours. By all means, we add energy from candles or from any other kind of tool that we add to our spells, depending on how you build your spell. But what I think it's important to highlight here is that the simple intention, the visualization, the creating in our head the image of the result that we want, along with the feeling that it will give us, which is the real power of a spell, that takes focus, that takes energy for us to do, not necessarily even the energy that we put into the spell. And I feel that keeping that focus active is not something that we can spread around much. So usually until a spell comes to its conclusion, to its realization, it's rare that I have more than a couple of things going on at the same time. Because again, your intention, your visualization, you're focusing on the goal. How many things can you focus your goal on at once? So that be my first thought. Like, if you think that being a witch is doing a spell every day, by all means, I'm not saying that you can't do it, but I'm saying that you definitely don't have to do it to call yourself a witch. I've mentioned it before, I have a daily practice with my deities. I light candles to Vesta and to Venus once a day, every day, because it became integrated with my just being around the altars realistically. And in the case of Vesta, because I promised her, again, I was facing homelessness, I was scared, I needed a home, she was the goddess of the home, and I told her, hey, if you find me a place that is safe and comfortable, I will light you a candle for every day that I'm in that place. And so I light her a daily candle. And then when I can't do it daily, I actually catch up the next time. So I light 2, 3 candles. When I'm on holiday and I'm away for 4 days, I come back and I light 5 candles, 4 days plus the day that I am there. That might be the most maniac of things that I do, admittedly. But I made a promise in exchange for something. I was given what I asked, and this is the payment, and it's completely fair. So starting off with how I integrated magic in my daily routines anyway, I can't really tell you how it started. I wish I could, actually. I wish I could pinpoint it. But you see it in my vlog video from 2 years ago, and that hasn't changed. When I wake up and when I go to bed, I go around the house saying goodnight to my deities, to my ancestors, guarding the entrance door and charging my servitors that are wardens of the door so that nothing and no one comes in while we are asleep. And this is just part of the practice. Like, it's literally saying 2 words like, good night, Mother Vesta, good night, Mother Venus. I call by name the 2 statuettes that are my servitors, and I just tell them, you know what your mission is, and I trust you. And it's just part of what I do, literally like brushing my teeth and going to the bathroom before I go to bed. So it's not anything crazy, it's not lighting a candle, it's not doing a spell, it's just saying, hey, you remember what you're here for, please do it, that's it. That's how complicated it is. And actually, on the point of magicifying things that you do anyway, I think I shared it in my first video about low energy magic. But in an old witch's almanac, I think, witch's companion of Llewellyn, there was a part that was dedicated to grooming. And so magic that you could apply to wash your face, to do when you're showering, and the one about brushing your teeth stuck with me. It's still something that I do every day when I brush my teeth. And it's super simple. It's focusing on the water that is coming down from the faucet. And it basically goes a bit into the Greek zerniptosai, so creating magical water. You invoke the earth, you invoke fire, you say zerniptosai to the faucet, and then you go, lustral waters, here I conjure, wash away impurities. Then I put my toothbrush under the water with the toothpaste, and in my head, because you can't say it out loud if you're brushing your teeth, can you? I repeated this charm that was from the Llewellyn companion, and he said something like this: my words are clear, my words divine, my words are truth, my words are kind. That's it. I just repeated in my head for the 2 minutes that I brushed my teeth. Something that you'll hear a lot of witches talk about is when you make coffee, when you make tea, you're already making a beverage. Coffee and tea already have their own properties, their own magical properties. Coffee and tea both contain caffeine. And I think because of that, we have this perception that caffeine spruces things up, spices things up, and fastens things. So usually you add coffee in a spell when you want it to happen faster. Personally, when I do my coffee in the morning, and I explained before, I think, in the vlog, that my coffee is a bit convoluted because I'm autistic. And so it has a precise amount of things in a certain order, so I might as well add the magic to it. So when I'm adding these things, I ask every single thing. I ask the cream to bring me comfort and protection. There is a beautiful book, actually, that is The Magic of Tea and the Magic of Coffee, that had all these correspondences for things that you would put in tea and coffee. I'll find it again, I'll put the pictures here, and I'll put a link down in the description below, which is through Bookshop, because we do not support Amazon. Meow. But yes, all those elements, like I have cinnamon as well in my coffee, I have cocoa, I have maca, and all those things, either because you know the correspondences or the reason why you add it. Like, I don't know off the top of my head if there's a correspondences for cocoa powder, because cocoa is also one of those things that we got from America. So technically the correspondences that we have that come from the cold pepper actually were done before the discovery of America. Anyway, I'm nerdy. I get lost in these things. Not the point of this video. But like, the reason I had cocoa is because it's nice. It's improved things. I like the taste. So I just ask it to bring good things that will make me happy into my life. When I add cinnamon, I ask for it to help me and protect my health, because it helps with blood sugar, actually, cinnamon. But also to, you know, spice things up, to make things happen good and quick for me. When I add maca, again, that's related to fertility health, that's related to the fact that I have adenomyosis, so that helps with that. And so again, I ask it to keep my body healthy, pain-free, as much as possible. So it's those kind of things. You might know the correspondences, or you might know why you add that for yourself. And that is what you ask that element the moment that you put in your coffee. And you don't have to do it out loud. You're thinking it in your head anyway. You're making your coffee. You might as well ask it to do what you want. out loud in your head. So actually thinking it, not necessarily saying it, but yeah. Like for a very long time this year, I've had tea that was chai tea. And despite the fact that chai tea is perceived to be a winter tea, or actually, you know, an October tea, because the spices of chai tea are cinnamon, ginger, cardamom, mix. Well, the mix of chai actually has a lot of herbs that have to do with prosperity. So every time that I was making chai tea, I was like, hey, keep us safe economically, like keep you know, safety coming in. That's nice. Keep me warm as a hug, and economically as well as a hug, you know. If you have the time and you want to add something specifically magic, just because it's magic, my best advice is to start off with guided meditations, of which Amy from Magical Crafting has a lot, and I think she's considering opening a channel that is just meditations. And her meditations are good. Like, Amy has that ASMR voice that it's a gift. Like, you don't train that, you just have it, and it's really, really good. Like, Amy puts you in a good space, so I do recommend Amy's meditations all the time. And they're there, they're on YouTube, they're free. Go for it. Like, if you want to literally make 5 or 10 minutes out of yourself to just do something witchy and magic, do a guided meditation with Amy. It's free, it's there. I personally know that I have organizational issues, let's put it that way, about how I cut off time from the things that I have to do, that are in my list to do, just to do what I perceive, or a part of me perceives to be nothing. Which is not nothing, it's my practice, but you know, we're still infighting between I'm a witch and I care about my spiritual and mental world, and I live under late stage capitalism and I have things to do, like, I don't know, edit this video. So it's that kind of thing that I try to keep a balance in between, and I try to remind myself. Something that I liked, and I think it was present in the Missing Witches of a couple of months ago. We talk about new moon magic every month of 2026 because I talk about the ritual and the stories that they have in the book New Moon Magic. And I think for the new moon in Aquarius, they were talking about journaling, and journaling regularly, not constantly, which I think it's a very good invitation. So I think in the ritual for the new moon in Aquarius, there was a point of set yourself a time. Do you want to journal every Tuesday? Do you want to journal once a month? It's fine. Try to give your brain the regularity rather than the constancy. And I think it makes sense. Like, I have this rule with myself that I journal before and after therapy, for obvious reasons. But it is also helpful because if I haven't sit down to think about how I felt about things that have happened in the last 2 weeks, when I have to do it before going into therapy to even just know what to talk about, I can sort of reorganize it, and then I'm in a safe space, which is with my psychologist, to talk about these things. So I really do appreciate the concept of regular, not constant. And I also think that that's something that can be expanded to practice itself. Regular, not constant. Give yourself your own calendar, your own schedule. Do you want to do something just on the new moon? It's fine. It's once a month. It's already a commitment if you have, you know, a life to run around about. And it doesn't have to be much. And then if you can catch it on the new moon, there are the days before, there are the days after. Oh, you know what? This month I'm doing the full moon. What I'm trying to say is it's important to not stress yourself out. It's important not to put yourself the pressure of, again, doing things constantly. But even when you do them regularly, do not try to catch yourself being bad or having done something wrong. There's a lot of people that spend a lot of time thinking that surely what they're doing is not good enough, even when they're doing it, whether it's with spirits, whether it's with deities, whether it's with themselves and their own practice. And I genuinely feel that as much as I understand where that comes from, it used to come from me as well. I genuinely don't feel at this point in my practice that anything that is a slightly higher level of consciousness, like the universe, like magic, like witchcraft, cares about these things. These things are things that we have acquired from the productivity of capitalism. And we are bringing those into our spiritual practice, thinking that those rules of productivity apply to spiritual practice, which the moment that probably I tell you you understand how much that doesn't make sense. But if you're catching yourself applying the kind of criteria to spirituality, sit down a second and realize that all those ideas of punishment if you don't do something, or you don't do something right, or you don't do enough, yeah, that's capitalism. That's what we've been taught from capitalism, not from spirituality. And I would argue then that if you come from Catholicism, actually that sense of punishment is also integrated with capitalism, because the church hasn't been about spirituality, but it's been about accumulating money and power for at least 1,000, 1,200 years. So yeah. Now, I will also add something to the idea that, let's say that you already have a practice. Let's say that you live up to it, and it started to become a bit like a chore. Which I get. There has been a time, I think I talked about it in my last video about Vesta, that I did in late 2024. I'll link it. When you repeat things, and you repeat them weekly, daily, and you start to just go through the motions, and it becomes a chore rather than a dedication or a devotion or a part of your practice. What I found out helped me was to bring something that I like to it. So, in the case of doing my candles with Vesta and with Venus, the idea was like, oh, I just need to get this through. I need to light my 4 candles, say my charm for each one of them, and that's it. Ironically, I found that actually sitting at the altar and being there and weird as it sounds under capitalism, sit there for 5 minutes and in my head have a conversation with Vesta and go, hey, I'm here. I was thinking these things. My life goes very well on the things that you helped me. I can see that. Thank you. I have these and these things that, like weigh a bit on my head. But, I'm sure that you will give me guidance about that. Actually, yeah, if the next time that we talk, when I do a tarot reading, which is once a week, you can give me some guidance on that. That'd be good. Or I just literally sit and contemplate the altar and her statue and like the little details. I just take that small amount of time, and it's probably less than 5 minutes, probably 3 minutes, but it's that. And then when I do the candles, I say the words because I know what words they are by now, but I also mean them more. Like I've been with her for a second, and so I'm actually offering it to her rather than to the statue. Does it make sense? Do I sound insane? I think the insanity is kind of the point, because again, what do we decide that it's insane under capitalism? Another story for another time. Also something that I did, I want to say a couple of years ago, was to change the tarot deck that is dedicated to her. I was getting, I don't know, not tired or bored, but I wanted to start reading a different way. The deck that I had with her was very art deco, very beautiful, but it was just shapes. And sometimes I could have intuition about the shapes, but I couldn't necessarily have the kind of interpretation that I can give if the figures are classical Rider-Waite Smith and are anthropomorphic and that kind of thing. So I decided to consecrate another deck to her, and I've retired that one, and I keep it. I don't use it anymore, but I keep it because at some point it's been dedicated to her, so I care about it in a sense. But I dedicated a new deck to her that I actually like more, and so it also entices me more to go and do my tarot readings with her. I do that actually in my tarot readings that I do for people as well. Something that I found was not necessarily boring me, but was making my tarot readings feel like a chore to me. I've tried to push through by giving myself the rule that every month I'm changing the deck that I'm doing the readings that people buy from me with. And so that sort of zhuzhes it up and makes it fun to sort of work with a new deck every month. And it brings a bit of that new interest. It doesn't matter how much I like a deck, and there are a few that are absolutely my favorite. If I only use that, I not necessarily get bored, like I get very familiar with it, but there's nothing that gives me that spark of, oh, this is actually nice for me as well, not just because you bought a service from me. So it's that kind of thing. And I also mentioned it in the Tarot Ethics video. I am genuinely planning on bringing one-to-one, face-to-face tarot readings, exactly because the interaction with a person that buys a tarot reading from me, that is not just them sending me their details and their question via email, I think is going to make my intuition work better. There's a relationship that gets created, and I have this silly ambition that if this is something that we find each other on, we might be friends. And I have this delusion that it doesn't matter where people are in the world. If we find each other because I happen to have a window on the world and we share values, why shouldn't we be friends? And that's my own thing and issue, and we could discuss that at another time. And I'm in therapy for many reasons. But that is also a thing that I think will drive me more to want to actually talk to people, not just to get their question, draw a reading, and then write them back, and that's it. Because that's the beauty of it to me, is to talk to people and hear from people and learn about people. And also, especially because it's undeniable, like there is always an anti-capitalist, decolonial, queer lens on the way that I read the cards. Having that kind of immediate feedback helps. There's no other way around that. Like, if I start to get down on one of my paths of reasoning and I don't have the direct feedback of the person that I'm doing the reading for in front of me, not that I've ever been told that I've been completely wrong, but I don't know, it might be, or maybe the point is just that I get lonely being at my desk and I want the interaction. Sue me. That's it. I hope that this gives you some ideas on how to very much simplify, but bring magic to everything you do. Because, I'm going to say something incredibly corny, you are the magic. You are already there. So you might as well, if you need the symbols, if you need the rituals applied to what you already do in life to feel that magic, here's some ideas. But you are the magic. And until the next video, I really hope that we can hex the patriarchy together, because there's need for it.